Hey everyone, welcome back to Brightside, the show where we wrestle with the questions we ask ourselves at 2 a.m. Today's question is a spicy one. Is happiness a choice?
I love this topic. And I love that it makes people a little uncomfortable. Because hidden in that sentence is a lot of hope and a lot of pressure.
Exactly. On one hand, empowering. On the other, so if I'm not happy, is it my fault? That's a heavy lift. Before we dive, quick intro. Maya is a psychologist and writer who studies well-being, culture, and behavior change. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. I've spent years researching how our minds and environments shape our well-being, and I'm still learning. But I have a hunch. Happiness isn't a switch you flip, it's more like a dimmer dial you learn to adjust. And some rooms have better wiring than others.
The dimmer dial line, chef's kiss. Okay, so definitions. Because when people say happiness, some mean joy, some mean meaning, some mean a quiet cup of tea while it rains.
Right. Psychologists often distinguish between hedonia, pleasure, comfort, feeling good, and eudaimonia, meaning, purpose, doing good. Both matter. Think of hedonia as sunlight, eudaimonia as roots, short-term warmth versus long-term stability.
Which leads to the question, is happiness a choice?
My short answer is yes, and also no. Yes, in the sense that there are choices that shift our mood, mindset, and days. No, because there are conditions, biological, social, economic, that constrain those choices. The more scarce your resources, the narrower your choice window.
I like that. Choice window. So your biology, your upbringing, your bills, these don't decide everything, but they shape the window frame.
Exactly. There's research showing a genetic set point for happiness. Twin studies suggest some portion of our baseline is heritable. People often quote 50% genes, 10% circumstances, 40% intentional activities. I see that as a rough metaphor, not a perfect pie chart. But the takeaway lands. Behavior has leverage.
So even if your baseline tilts moody or anxious, small habits can bend the curve.
Yes, but let's be careful with the choice language. If someone is navigating depression, chronic pain, or living in poverty, their nervous system is under siege. Chronic stress narrows attention, drains self-control, taxes memory. It's not that they won't choose happiness. Often their brain can't in the same way.
You're pointing to bandwidth. Scarcity science shows that when your mind is juggling rent, that safety, you literally have less mental bandwidth for planning, kindness to yourself, and even grocery list memory.
Exactly. So the question becomes, what can we each influence today, given the reality we're in, not the fantasy life, today?
Let me put you on the spot. If happiness isn't a switch, but a series of micro-choices, what are some that actually move the needle?
3 quick ones. First, attention. Where you place it changes your emotional state. Mindfulness, savoring, and reframing are attention skills. Second, connection. Tiny moments of warmth, texting one friend, smiling at a barista, are jet fuel for well-being. Third, physiology. Sleep, sunlight, and movement are like the scaffolding. They're unglamorous and they're huge.
You just named the stuff people roll their eyes at and the stuff that actually works.
Totally. It's not sexy, but it's effective. A 10-minute walk outside can shift your mood more than scrolling for an hour. Sunlight in the morning tells your circadian rhythm, hey, we're alive. Let's regulate.
Let's dig into the attention piece, reframing. Isn't that just telling yourself a story?
It is, and our stories are powerful. Cognitive reappraisal is the fancy term. Something happens, we interpret it, and that interpretation becomes our reality. If I get critical feedback at work, I can tell myself, I'm useless, or this is uncomfortable and useful. Same event, different emotional impact.
That sounds like a choice, but it's not easy.
No, it's trained choice. You build the muscle by making it when it's small, so when it's big, you've got reps. One of my favorite little tools is name it to tame it. I'm noticing anxiety. That tiny distance lets your prefrontal cortex come back online.
So part of the choice is in the noticing.
Yes. Awareness first, then acceptance, then action. You can't choose something you can't see.
What about gratitude? Cue the collective groan. Gratitude journals feel like homework.
They do if they're performative. The trick is specificity. Not I'm grateful for my family, but I'm grateful for the way my sister texts me bad memes on Tuesdays. The specificity pulls your brain into the moment, and that's where the juice is. Also, it's okay if it feels corny. Corny works.
Let's go to the pushback. I can imagine someone listening and saying, if happiness is a choice, what about injustice? What about grief? Am I supposed to choose happy while the world burns?
You don't have to plaster a smile over pain. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Anger can be sacred, fuel for change. The question isn't, should I be happy all the time? It's, can I add wise choices that support me even in hard seasons? Sometimes the most loving choice is to let yourself feel the sadness and not judge it.
So you're not anti-anger.
I'm pro-honest emotion. Stoicism gets misunderstood here. It's not about numbing, it's about the dichotomy of control. What can I control? My values, my effort, my perspective. What's outside? Other people, weather, the past. Happiness as a choice lives in that space, choosing to invest energy where it matters.
The Buddhists have a version, right? The first arrow and the second arrow?
Yes, first arrow, pain we can't avoid. Second arrow, the suffering we add with our stories. Rumination, self-criticism, this shouldn't be happening. Choosing happiness can mean dropping the second arrow. That doesn't erase the first, but it reduces the bleed.
Let's talk about the hedonic treadmill. The idea that we adapt to good stuff and go back to baseline. That can sound depressing. Nothing lasts. Why try?
Adaptation is neutral. It lets us survive, but we can slow it. Savoring, novelty, and meaning slow adaptation. If you drink the same coffee mindlessly, it blurs. If you pause and actually smell it, name the notes, or drink it with someone you love, you wring more joy out of the same bean. Also, investing in experiences and relationships tends to satisfy longer than buying stuff.
Money question. Can you choose happiness if you're broke?
Money matters, especially until your basic needs are met. Financial insecurity is a stressor that tightens the choice window, but choices still exist within those constraints. Some research shows spending money on time, like a babysitter so you can rest, buys more happiness than spending on things. And giving to others can create a boost, not as a moral performance, but because we're wired to find meaning and contribution.
I'm hearing something like happiness is choices plus conditions, and part of the choice is to advocate for better conditions for yourself, your community.
Yes, it's both interior and exterior. You curate your habits and your feed. You also vote, organize, and support policies that widen everyone's choice window. Choosing happiness doesn't mean ignoring injustice. Sometimes it means you have the energy to fight it.
Okay, I want to ground this with a personal story. Would you share a moment where you didn't feel like happiness was available and what choice, if any, shifted it?
Sure. Years ago, I moved to a new city, away from family. Work was intense, I was lonely, sleeping badly. I started spiraling into I made a mistake thinking. A mentor suggested a 1-degree shift, not fix your life, just 1 degree. I chose morning sunlight for 5 minutes, text 1 friend a day, and cook 1 meal on Sundays. In a week, I felt a tiny lift. In a month, I had a small community. The choice wasn't happiness, it was to plant 3 seeds consistently.
That's good. 1 degree sounds doable. The fix your life instruction is overwhelming. 1 degree is practical.
Exactly. And not every seed grows, but some do, and that's enough.
Can we talk about identity? Some people say, I'm just not a happy person.
Identities can be sticky. If you tell yourself, I'm not a happy person, your brain filters for evidence. Try, I am a person learning how to be a little kinder to myself. It's subtle, but it creates room for different choices. Also, some people are temperamentally more serious, reflective, or melancholy. That can coexist with a good life. You don't have to become bubbly to be well.
So happiness isn't a personality, it's skills plus alignment.
Nicely put. Skills like attention regulation, self-compassion, and communication. Alignment, like values and how you spend your time. When your calendar reflects your values, satisfaction goes up.
Okay, let's play with a framework. If someone is listening, overwhelmed, where do they start?
Try the ABCs. A, acknowledge your state without judgment. I'm depleted. B, body basics. Sleep, sunlight, movement, food, hydration. C, connection. Ask for a check-in. Send a voice note. Sit next to a coworker for lunch. Do those for a week and notice.
ABCs. Simple without being simplistic. I'm into it. What about technology? Can we choose happiness in a world designed to hijack attention?
We live inside attention casinos. We can't win every hand, but we can move to a quieter table. Curate your home screen. Move social apps to a folder. Turn off non-essential notifications. Create friction. If you want to scroll, you have to search for it. Then create easy paths to the things that nourish you. A playlist, a meditation app, an audiobook. Choice architecture works at home too.
So we can design for joy the way tech designs for engagement.
Exactly. And compassion matters. If you fall into a doom scroll, don't punish yourself. Notice, name it, and pivot back.
I want to touch on meaning. Sometimes people chase happy feelings and end up empty. Where does purpose fit?
Purpose is a long arc. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's hard. Parenting at 3 a.m. is not hedonia, but many people say it's deeply meaningful. Happiness as a choice can mean choosing meaning even when it's not immediately pleasurable and trusting that over time it strengthens well-being.
That's the roots and sunlight metaphor again. Roots don't sparkle, but they keep the tree alive.
Exactly. And different seasons call for different choices. There are seasons for ambition, seasons for healing, seasons for service. One powerful choice is to ask, what season am I in? Then match your expectations.
Okay, let's take a spicy listener question. Isn't choose happiness just toxic positivity in disguise?
It can be. If choose happiness means never be sad, never complain, keep smiling, that's emotional gaslighting. Healthy choosing happiness sounds like I'm allowed to feel all my feelings. And I'll add one small action today that's good for me. It's the and that matters.
Beautiful. And you can choose to get help too, right? Therapy, support groups, talking to someone trained.
Absolutely. Reaching out is a courageous choice. If your mood has been low for weeks, you're overwhelmed, or you've lost interest in things you normally enjoy, support helps. You don't have to do it alone.
Let's flip to relationships. Can we choose happiness in a hard marriage, or is that naive?
Relationships are systems. One person shifting can change the system, but not always enough. You can choose skills, clear bids for connection, repair after conflict, appreciation. You can choose boundaries and, if needed, to leave. Choosing happiness might mean choosing a healthier environment.
Not a hallmark answer, but real. Okay, rapid fire. Finish the sentence. Happiness is
A practice of attention, action, and alignment.
the most overrated happiness hack is
Forcing positivity. Feel what's true.
the most underrated is
Sleep. It's emotional first aid.
a small choice that changed your week recently,
Putting my phone in another room during dinner, conversation got richer.
a belief that makes happiness harder,
I'll be happy when. That phrase steals today.
a belief that makes it easier.
There's always a next kind step.
Okay, I want to try something practical. If someone wants a 7-day experiment, what do you propose?
Day 1, sunlight within an hour of waking, 5 minutes. Day 2, 10-minute walk without your phone. Day 3, text a sincere appreciation to someone. Day 4, do one thing slower than usual. Eat, shower, fold laundry, and notice details. Day 5, write down 3 specific good moments from the day. Day 6, do a tiny act of kindness, anonymous if possible. Day 7, decide one thing to stop doing for a week, one drain, and one thing to start, one nourishing habit. Then reflect.
What moved the needle?
That's a realistic menu, not a boot camp. I can hear someone say, what if I do all that and still feel sad?
Then your sadness is telling you something true. Maybe you need rest, grief, conversation, professional support, or a bigger change. The experiment isn't a happiness guarantee, it's a clarity generator.
I appreciate that. Clarity is its own relief.
It is. Clarity turns rumination into information.
Okay, curveball. What about luck? Some folks get more sunshine, loving families, stable jobs, good health. How do we talk about choice without ignoring luck?
Acknowledge it. Gratitude without guilt, realism without resentment. If you've got more sunshine, use it to grow shade for others. That's purpose. And if you've had less, know that your resilience is real. Both can be true.
I'm gonna steal that. Use your sunshine to grow shade for others. That's a t-shirt.
As long as it's a soft t-shirt. Scratchy t-shirts are anti-happiness.
Deal. Before we wrap, I want to summarize and you tell me what I missed. Happiness isn't a single choice, more like a stack of small choices made easier or harder by your circumstances. You can widen your choice window with basics like sleep, sunlight, movement, attention skills like noticing and reframing, and connection. You don't have to be cheerful to be well. Meaning counts, and advocating for better structures is part of the picture.
Nailed it. I'd add one more thing. Be gentle. People think they can shame themselves into a better life, but the research is clear. Self-compassion helps us change more consistently than self-criticism. If you miss a day, don't say, I'm a failure. Say, I'm human. What's the next kind step?
The next kind step. That feels like a good closing mantra. For anyone listening, you don't have to choose happy. You can choose one small kindness for yourself today and see what shifts.
And if you're in a season where happiness feels far away, you're not broken. Seasons change. The dimmer dial can move. Sometimes the kindest choice is to ask for a hand with the dial.
Maya, this was rich. Where can people find you?
I'm at mayawrites.com and on the usual places, mostly sharing science and small practices for real life.
We'll link it. Friends, if this conversation gave you something to try, text it to someone and compare notes in a week. Not to force happiness, just to grow it gently. Thanks for listening. Be kind to yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone. And remember, there's always a next kind step.